Hey y'all, are y'all ready to make a delicious meal today? Baby, we are making some fried pork chops, some red beans and rice, garlicky green beans, some cheesy potatoes. Honey, all of this is going to hit on another level, okay? You know, there are levels to this cooking thing, baby. And if you following me, I know you at the top, all right? So I start out by cleaning my pork. I know some people don't do it, but baby, that water is cloudy, all right? So I got to throw a little vinegar in here. And if you don't play with the pork, baby, it's turkey, okay? So once I add that vinegar, I'm going to let it sit for about 10 minutes and then drain off any excess water. Of course, you want to dry your pork chops so that the seasonings can stick, and then we are going to clean out this sink. Now, honey, if you already know this meal looks good, please make sure you throw up a like and then baby subscribe for weekly meal ideas. Also, let me know what meal you would like to see in the comments. Now, onto my pork, I'm going to add a little bit of sunflower oil and then some sofrito, some garlic butter seasoning, lemon pepper. Baby, you really can season these pork chops however you want. The key is that you don't really want to overdo it because I'm going to be frying these pork chops without any flour. So you really need to put things where the flavor can penetrate into the meat. Also, I suggest buying the assorted pork chops instead of something that is very lean. I just feel like they're going to turn out a little bit better. Once I've seasoned them well, I let them sit in the fridge for an hour and then I take them out 15 minutes before I want to fry them so that they can come to room temperature. I use a meat thermometer to make sure my oil is at least 350, but it can be up to about 370 and be fine. Cook your pork chops for about 5 minutes and take them out once they are brown. I know a lot of people say pork is super fatty, but if you have ever slightly overcooked pork, you know that it can get dry really quickly. So you really need to snatch it out. That's another reason why I suggest you buying some pork chops that have a good amount of inner marbling between the meat, because that fat is really going to render down. Not only is it going to taste delicious, but it's also going to keep your pork from becoming dry. In between batches, I just scrape off any seasoning that falls off. If you want, you can coat this in a very light amount of flour, but I feel like these pork chops taste delicious just like this. One of my favorite side dishes to add with pork is potatoes, and I just love these cheesy potatoes. Guys, they are crispy, they are tender. Oh my goodness, they just satisfy every carby craving. Okay, so I am going to start off by cleaning some red skin potatoes, and I'm just going to leave the skin on but rub off all the eyes, and then I'm going to cut them into bite-sized pieces. I'm going to put them in water so that the excess starch can kind of come off, and the water will also prevent the potatoes from turning brown. And honey, don't nobody want to be eating no brown potatoes. Honey, it don't look right, okay? So once they've soaked, I'm then going to drain the water and then put them in a pot. I'm going to add some fresh water as well as a bunch of salt. There is a ratio for potato to salt. You know, I don't know exactly what it is, but I know it's a whole bunch. So I'm going to put in a bouillon cube and about a tablespoon. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Kamira, that's a whole lot. But remember, potatoes are super bland and we're going to drain off a lot of that excess salt anyway. So once the potatoes are fork tender, do not overcook them, okay? Just fork tender is good because we're going to cook them a little bit more, all right? We're going to drain them and cool them with some cold water. And this trick is what's going to help you get some really crispy potatoes. You're going to take them and you're going to bang them around a little bit. Like rough up the edges, you know, just beat them up a little bit. All of those edges are going to create more surface area and they're going to become super crispy when they hit the hot oil. Now, I have Sister Mabel, my cast iron skillet. I'm going to add in a good amount of oil. This is at least 1/4 of a cup. While my oven is preheating at 400 degrees, I'm going to go ahead and stick my cast iron skillet in there so that the oil can get really hot. After it's been heating for about 7 minutes, it should be piping hot. Okay, you see it is sizzling. All right, that is what you want. And then put your potatoes right in there and you see that oil is sizzling. Make sure you watch out so you don't get popped. Okay, you know, us old school cooks, we already got the kitchen calluses and the kitchen tolerances and stuff like that. But some of y'all young ones, all right, y'all just, you know, put up a little guard. Okay. Right into that oil, I'm going to add some fresh rosemary. That is going to add an extra layer of flavor to the oil, which is going to seep down some seasoning into the potatoes. I'm going to put this into the oven at 400 at first for about 15 minutes. Then I'm going to stir the potatoes so that I can put another side to the bottom of the cast iron skillet so that that side can get brown as well. That's one of the best things about using a cast iron, is that it really holds that heat and it really helps your food get a really good color. I don't want the rosemary to burn, so I'm going to go ahead and take that out. Plus the flavor is already infused into the oil, and then I am going to put it back in for about 10 more minutes. About 5 minutes into that cook time, I turn them again, and really you can just toss the potatoes until they get brown to your liking. Now there's a lot of excess oil in this pan, so I'm going to go ahead and take the potatoes out and put them in a bowl. I will drain off the excess oil that is in the skillet, and then I'm going to add a bit of Creole seasoning for more flavor. Of course, you may not need this, just taste it and see. To help melt the cheese, I'm going to put the potatoes back into that hot cast iron skillet and then add a bit of low sodium ranch seasoning just to take it over the top, okay? Letting them know you can cook. I'm going to add some parsley. That's going to make this into a salad. And then, baby, you have some delicious cheesy potatoes. Let me know if you're going to make this, because if you try it, I know you're going to get addicted. You can use canned or dry red beans for this red beans and rice recipe. I took 1 cup of dried red beans and I pressure cooked them for about an hour and 20 minutes. I let them natural pressure release until they were nice and soft. But if you ain't got that type of time, baby, just go ahead and use a can, okay? Then I'm going to add 3 slices of bacon. I'm going to saute them with a little bit of butter. Yes, I'm doing bacon grease and butter because butter tastes delicious, okay? Then I'm going to add in some onions, some bell pepper, and some celery. Of course, a bit of garlic as well. And I'm going to saute this for about 4 minutes until these vegetables are nice and soft. I'm going to season this with some salt-free Cajun seasoning, chicken bouillon, a little bit of pepper, and some Creole seasoning. And you know I do not forget the fresh thyme, okay? That fresh herb just adds a great flavor. And then I'm going to saute this for about 30 seconds until all of the spices are fragrant. A little bit of complete seasoning will taste good in this as well. Before you all start to come for my neck and say, this is not how we do it in NOLA, this is not how we do it in Louisiana, I know, honey. I'm just showing people a different way that I like to cook red beans and rice. I'm not claiming that this is, a Louisiana recipe. I do have one that is more traditional on my channel, and you can check those out, okay? Once this comes to a boil, I am going to uncover it and allow it to cook until the water reduces, and that's going to take about 30 minutes. That will also help the flavors develop, and you are going to have some delicious red beans. Are you 100% loyal to the Southern style green beans? I really like to make a very simple garlicky butter green bean on a regular basis because it's just easier for me and it's quicker. And y'all know Southern people will overcook some vegetables in a minute. Now, don't get offended because, I'm from the South and I love all the grandmamas and church mamas and big mamas. But I'm just saying. So I prefer to just steam my green beans in some water for about 4, maybe 5 minutes. And then I'm going to drain off the excess water. Now your green beans are tender, but they're still a bit crisp. Then I'm going to add in about a tablespoon of butter. And I like to pair a little bit of olive oil with that too, just for some flavor. I'm going to let this butter melt in the middle of the green beans because I'm going to load this up with about 4 to 5 cloves of minced garlic. Like, can you ever have too much fresh minced garlic? Maybe if you're a vampire, but not for me, all right? I'm going to let this garlic toast in the middle of the pan for about 30 seconds until it is nice and fragrant. Then I'm going to add on some salt, some pepper, and I ended up adding a little bit of lemon pepper, but fresh squeezed lemon juice will be perfect as well. And you have some beautiful green beans. Paired with a little bit of avocado, I just feel like this meal is so perfect. Let me know if you're going to make this. You guys know I love you and Jesus loves you, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.